Welcome back to the channel where history, hidden value, and everyday coins come together. Today we're exploring a very familiar coin that many people still overlook, the United States Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1980 with the D mint mark. This penny may look ordinary at first glance, but it carries an important place in American coinage and still holds interest for collectors today. The 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin was issued by the United States Mint during a period of economic change. By this time, rising copper prices had already started to affect coin production. Although the big composition change officially came in 1982, the 1980 penny is part of the final era when U.S. cents were still made primarily of copper. This coin contains 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it a solid weight of 3.11 grams and a classic reddish-brown tone that collectors love. The D mint mark on this coin tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint produced a very large number of pennies in 1980, meaning this coin is not rare in circulated condition. However, condition is everything in coin collecting, and even common coins can become valuable when well preserved. On the front side of the coin, you see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces to the right, with the word Liberty on the left side of the coin and the date 1980 on the right. Just below the date is the small but important D mint mark, confirming its Denver origin. Along the top edge, you'll find the familiar inscription "I in God We Trust." The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial design, which was used from 1959 to 2008. In the center is the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C., and if you look closely, you can actually see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. Above the building is the inscription United States of America, while 1 cent is displayed clearly at the bottom. The Latin phrase E pluribus unum appears above the memorial. Now let's talk about condition and market value. Since we're focusing on a 1980 D Lincoln 1-cent coin in good condition, this usually refers to a coin that has noticeable wear but still shows clear details. In circulated good to very fine condition, most 1980 D pennies are worth about 2 to 5 cents in today's market. This value is slightly above face value, mainly because of collector demand and the copper content. If the coin is in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition, where the details are sharp and wear is minimal, the value can rise to around 10 to 25 cents. These coins still show much of their original luster and are more appealing to collectors building date and mint sets. For uncirculated examples, especially those graded by professional services, the value increases further. A 1980 D penny in uncirculated condition can be worth anywhere from 50 cents to $1, depending on the grade. Coins graded MS-65 or higher may sometimes sell for several dollars, especially if they have strong luster, clean surfaces, and no major marks. There are also a few things collectors like to check carefully. Some 1980 D pennies may show minor errors, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or weak strikes. While most errors are small, noticeable, and dramatic errors can add extra value. Always examine your coin under good lighting and, if possible, use a magnifying glass. Another reason collectors enjoy the 1980 D Lincoln cent is its copper composition. Many people separate pre-1982 pennies because they contain more copper than modern cents. While melting coins is illegal, the metal content still adds historical and educational interest, and it's one reason these older pennies remain popular. In summary, the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent coin with the D mint mark is a classic piece of everyday American history. In good circulated condition, it's typically worth a few cents, but in higher grades, it can reach $1 or more. It may not make you rich overnight, but it's a great example of how even common coins can tell powerful stories about economics, design, and the past. So before you ignore that old penny in your pocket or drawer, take a closer look. You might be holding a small copper reminder of American history. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1980 D Lincoln penny, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with fellow coin lovers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Next coin. The United States of America Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1981 with no mint mark. This coin may look ordinary at first glance, but its story, composition, and current market value make it an important part of modern U.S. coin history. The Lincoln 1-cent coin has been a symbol of American currency for generations. The 1981 penny continues the long-running Lincoln Memorial design that began in 1959. On the front side of the coin, we see the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head is the word Liberty, while the national motto "In God We Trust" appears along the top edge. The date 1981 is clearly displayed on the right side of the portrait. Since this coin has no mint mark, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark on pennies during that time. In 1981, the United States Mint was still producing Lincoln cents primarily from a copper-based alloy. This is especially important because 1981 is one of the last full years when U.S. pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. In 1982, the composition changed to copper-plated zinc, making the 1981 cent one of the final classic copper Lincoln pennies. The reverse side of the 1981 Lincoln cent features the Lincoln Memorial, with the words United States of America along the top and 1 cent at the bottom. Inside the memorial, if you look closely, you can even see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln, a unique detail that collectors still admire today. In terms of specifications, the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent has a diameter of 19 millimeters and weighs about 3.11 grams. Its copper composition gives it a rich reddish-brown color, especially when preserved in good condition. Coins that have been well cared for, with minimal wear and clear details, are far more appealing to collectors. Now let's talk about today's market value. A 1981 Lincoln 1-cent coin with no mint mark in good circulated condition is generally worth around 2 to 5 cents. While that may not sound impressive, it is still above face value due to its copper content. In very fine to extremely fine condition, the value can range from about 10 to 25 cents. If the coin is in uncirculated condition, with strong luster and no visible wear, it can sell for around 50 cents to $1. High-grade uncirculated examples certified by grading services can sometimes reach $2 to $5, depending on eye appeal and overall quality. It's important to remember that errors and varieties can significantly increase value. While most 1981 pennies are common, coins with off-center strikes, double dies, or other minting errors may be worth much more to collectors. That's why it's always a good idea to examine your coins carefully or have them checked by a professional if something looks unusual. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent may not make you rich overnight, but it represents the end of an era for copper pennies in the United States. It's a great example for beginner collectors and a meaningful addition to any Lincoln cent collection. Sometimes, the true value of a coin lies not just in its price, but in the history it carries and the story it tells. Next coin. In this video, we are taking a close look at the United States of America Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1983 with the D mint mark, a very interesting penny because it comes from a major transition period in U.S. coinage history. If you have a 1983 D Lincoln cent in good condition, this video will help you understand what it is worth in today's market and why collectors still pay attention to it. The Lincoln 1-cent coin is one of the most iconic coins in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln cent has gone through many design and metal changes over the decades. By the early 1980s, rising copper prices forced the United States Mint to make an important decision that directly affects the 1983 penny. The 1983 Lincoln 1-cent coin was struck using a zinc core with a thin copper coating. This change actually began in 1982, making both 1982 and 1983 very important years for penny collectors. The 1983 D penny was produced at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries the D mint mark below the date on the obverse side of the coin. On the front side of the 1983 D Lincoln cent, you will see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head is the word Liberty, and to the right is the date 1983 along with the D mint mark. The phrase "In God We Trust" appears along the top edge. The design was created by Victor David Brenner and has remained a symbol of American coinage for generations. The reverse side of the 1983 Lincoln cent features the Lincoln Memorial design, which was used from 1959 until 2008. At the top, you will see the words United States of America, with E pluribus unum just below. In the center stands the Lincoln Memorial, and at the bottom is the denomination 1 cent. If you look very closely on well-preserved coins, you can even see the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. Now let's talk about condition, because condition is everything when it comes to coin value. A 1983 D Lincoln cent in good condition usually shows moderate wear. The main details of Lincoln's portrait are still visible, but you may notice flattening on the hair, coat, and jawline. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial will still be clear, but some of the finer lines may be worn down. In today's coin market, a 1983 D Lincoln 1 cent in good circulated condition typically has a value of about 2 to 5 cents. This means it is worth slightly more than face value, mainly because collectors like to keep complete date and mint mark sets of Lincoln cents. While it is not a rare coin in circulated condition, it still holds steady interest due to its place in U.S. coin history. If your 1983 D penny is in very fine or extra fine condition, with stronger details and less wear, its value can range from around 10 to 25 cents. Coins that have better eye appeal, original color, and minimal damage often sell more easily to collectors. Uncirculated 1983 D Lincoln cents are where values start to become more interesting. In mint state condition, meaning the coin shows no wear from circulation, prices can range from about 50 cents to $2, depending on the exact grade. Coins graded MS 65 or higher by professional grading services can sometimes sell for even more. One special thing collectors watch for with 1,983 pennies is errors. Some 1983 Lincoln cents were mistakenly struck on older copper planchets instead of zinc. These copper 1983 pennies are extremely rare and can be worth thousands of dollars. However, most 1983 D pennies are standard zinc coins, so it is important not to confuse normal examples with rare error coins. To protect the value of your 1983 D Lincoln cent, always store it properly. Avoid cleaning the coin, as cleaning can reduce its value significantly. Store it in a coin flip, holder, or album designed for coins to prevent scratches and environmental damage. In conclusion, the 1983 D Lincoln 1 cent coin may look ordinary at first glance, but it represents a key moment in U.S. coinage history. In good condition, its market value today is usually a few cents, with higher values possible for better preserved examples. Whether you are a beginner collector or someone who enjoys learning about everyday coins, the 1983 D Lincoln cent is a great reminder that even small change can have a story worth telling. Next coin. The USA Lincoln 1 cent coin from 1986 with the D mint mark, a classic modern-era penny that many people still find in circulation, but which holds special interest for collectors when kept in good condition. The 1986 Lincoln 1 cent coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln Memorial Penny series, a design that has been part of American daily life for decades. The obverse of the coin features the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head appears the word Liberty, while the national motto "In God We Trust" is placed along the top edge. The date 1986 is clearly visible on the right side of the portrait, and just below the date you will find the small D mint mark, indicating that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The reverse side of the 1986 D penny shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look closely, you can even see Lincoln's statue seated inside the memorial, a unique detail that makes this design especially loved by collectors. The inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America frame the building, with the Latin motto E pluribus unum displayed above. One of the most interesting facts about the 1986 Lincoln cent is its metal composition. The year 1986 is notable because it marks a transition period in U.S. penny production. While earlier Lincoln cents were mostly copper, by the mid-1980s the composition had shifted to a copper-plated zinc core. The 1986 D penny is made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating, giving it the familiar reddish color while keeping production costs low. When we talk about condition, a coin in good condition generally means it shows light to moderate wear, with clear details still visible. On a 1986 D penny in good condition, Lincoln's facial features remain sharp, the inscriptions are readable, and the Lincoln Memorial lines are not overly worn. There may be some small scratches or discoloration, but no major damage. Now let's get to the most important question for many viewers. What is the current market value of the 1986 Lincoln 1-cent coin with D mint mark in today's market? In circulated good condition, this coin is very common and usually worth its face value of 1 cent, or about 1 cent to 5 cents in the collector market. However, if the coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear and retains its original mint luster, the value can increase. Uncirculated 1986 D pennies often sell in the range of 25 cents to $1, depending on eye appeal and overall quality. Coins graded by professional services in very high mint state grades can sometimes sell for higher prices, especially if they have exceptional strike quality. While the 1986 D Lincoln penny may not make you rich, it is an important piece of modern U.S. coin history and a great example for beginner collectors. It represents a time of change in minting materials and remains a familiar symbol of American currency. If you find one in excellent condition, it is definitely worth setting aside in your collection. Next coin. If you love modern U.S. coins and want to know their real meaning and value in today's market, you are in the right place. In this video, we are talking about the USA Lincoln LBJFM 1-cent coin from 2015 with the D mint mark, a coin that many people spend every day without realizing the history behind it. The 2015 Lincoln 1-cent coin is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series of the United States of America. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small D mint mark found just below the date on the obverse side. Millions of these coins were produced, making them common in circulation, but they still carry historical and collectible interest, especially for beginners and modern coin collectors. On the front side of the coin, we see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This design is based on the original Lincoln cent introduced in 1909 and remains one of the most recognized coin designs in the world. Around Lincoln's portrait, the inscriptions include "I in God we trust," "Liberty," and the date 2015, with the D mint mark clearly visible. The condition of the coin plays a big role in its value, so a clean and well-preserved surface is important. The reverse side of the 2015 1-cent coin features the Union Shield design, which represents Lincoln's role in preserving the unity of the United States. Above the shield, the words United States of America appear, while the motto E pluribus unum is displayed across the top of the shield. At the bottom, you will see 1 cent. This reverse design was introduced in 2010 and continues to symbolize national strength and unity. Now let's talk about the LBJFM marking that collectors often mention. LBJFM stands for Lyndon Baines Johnson First Memorial. This marking is associated with special recognition of Lyndon B. Johnson, the 36th President of the United States. While the coin itself is a standard circulation Lincoln cent, many collectors use this term to connect the coin with the era of remembrance and national legacy tied to American leadership and history. In terms of composition, the 2015 D Lincoln 1-cent coin is made of a zinc core with a copper plating. It weighs about 2.5 grams and has a smooth edge. Because it is not made of solid copper like older Lincoln cents, its value is mostly based on condition rather than metal content. Now let's look at the market value of this coin in today's market. In good circulated condition, a 2015 D Lincoln 1-cent coin is usually worth its face value of 1 cent, or about $0.01 to $0.03. If the coin is in very fine to extremely fine condition, it may sell for around $0.05 to $0.10. In uncirculated condition, especially with strong luster and no visible marks, the value can range from $0.25 up to $1. Certified coins in mint state with high grades may sometimes sell for a little more, depending on demand. Although this coin is not rare, it is still a great piece for collectors who focus on modern U.S. coins, Denver Mint issues, or Lincoln cent collections. Keeping examples like this in good condition is a smart way to build a complete and meaningful collection over time. In conclusion, the 2015 D Lincoln LBJFM 1-cent coin may seem simple, but it carries deep historical symbolism and remains an important part of American coinage. Whether you are a beginner collector or just curious about the coins in your pocket, this penny is a small reminder of the rich history behind everyday money. If you enjoyed this video and want more coin history, values, and hidden facts, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye, guys.